sound effect for the Garth Brooks song "The Thunder Rolls." Like he took that from a specific record. And, thank you. And here we go. Welcome everybody to our third episode of Inside the Music with Andy Schwertman. Today we are on location at Starfire with my friend Tony Kiefer. Today we will be talking about the first three records by the American hard rock band Kiss. And here are some facts about them. Okay, the way they got together was they were formed in 1973. Ace Frehley, who was their first lead guitarist, was wearing two different colored shoes at the time for his audition. One red and one orange sneaker. That's not a joke, that's the truth.
Where were they from?
They are from New York City, and their rehearsal space and loft is at 10 East 23rd Street in Manhattan.
I have a trivia question for
Yes.
you. Before they were Kiss, and it was just Gene and Paul, do you remember what the name of their band was before they were just Kiss?
Wicked Lester.
Exactly. Can't stump you, man.
Sorry. But yes, Ace's shoes were red and orange.
Which two guys started the band?
Gene and Paul. Gene and Paul were in a band called Wicked Lester. They didn't think, and they had a record contract with Epic Records at the time. They didn't feel like Wicked Lester was going anywhere, so they wanted to form something or put together something a little bit more that had a little bit more meat to it.
Yeah.
You know, in the
Heavy.
sound. Yeah, a little
More
bit
theatrical.
Yeah, exactly. And so they got these two knuckleheads together, Ace Frehley and Peter Criss.
Who was the third guy to join the band?
Ace or Peter.
Peter Criscola.
George John Peter Criscola.
Is that his full name?
Yes.
Really?
Wow.
Yes. And I'm guessing the George and John reference is a reference to the Beatles.
Maybe.
George
Maybe not.
Harrison and John Lennon. I'm guessing. Anyway, that's how they got together. And okay, so each record in chronological order. We're going to be talking about the first three Kiss records. So that is Kiss, Hotter Than Hell, and Dressed to Kill. But the first record is going to be their first record chronologically. So thank you, Tony. This is their very first record. It was released in 1974. February 18th, 1974.
You know the exact date?
Yes.
That's incredible.
It was recorded at Bell Sound Studios in Manhattan. And I'm guessing it was a huge success for them. Some of my favorite tracks on here are Strutter, Nothing to Lose, Firehouse Cold Gin, Black Diamond, Let Me Know.
So all of them?
Pretty much, yeah.
What's amazing, though, you pretty much just described 3/4 of the Kiss set. I mean, those first batch of songs have stood the test of time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Black Diamond will close out. I mean, I haven't seen Kiss in the past couple tours, but Black Diamond's a known closer, you know,
Yeah.
Kiss tours on their reunion tour when they got back together.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting to look at the cover.
Yeah.
Because one of the big differences is the makeup is so much drastically different, especially on Peter.
Yeah.
And if you notice Ace, he has silver hair. He used to put silver when they first got like their look together. He would put silver paint in his hair. But it was so hard for him to get out. They they dropped it. Even Gene's makeup was, you know, not what we're used to seeing. It was definitely tweaked after that first record.
Yes, and
I heard that Ace used like house paint originally.
Oh,
and, like
yeah.
it would not come out of his hair.
Yeah.
what?
I mean, he was,
Are you serious?
Yeah,
What,
Ace,
what
you
was
know.
he drinking, man?
Well,
Jeez.
probably champagne.
or
Yeah.
something a little bit heavier.
I'll tell you what he was drinking.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
Nice, nice. I'm sorry. He said Eric
You
Tar,
gotta
so
do
I
Eric
gotta
Tar.
bust it out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, February 18th, 1974, recorded at Bell Studios in Manhattan, I think. I'm 100%, I think I'm like 90% right on the money on the date, but not so much on, I think I'm,
I bet you're right. I bet you're right on it. So.
okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't like screw it up or anything.
I
you
think
know
you're
what
right
I
on
mean?
track. So definitely a solid opener for the band and the
Yes.
first debut, but
Yes.
not the huge success you would think.
Right. I mean, it wasn't like a #1 album or anything.
Right. So
Which is
we'll circle back to when we talk about the third record. We'll kind of circle back to that.
okay.
All right.
Yes.
Shall we move on to the next?
Yes, we should.
Introduce it.
This album, the next album, is going to be the follow-up to their major label debut, "Hotter Than Hell," which was released in October of 1974. This album is a bit brighter cover-wise, and it has some of my favorite tracks on here, like "Got to Choose," "Going Blind," the title track, of course, "Let Me Go Rock and Roll," "Watching You," which I know what that's about, but I'm not going to say it. "Coming Home," that's a pretty solid song, I
Great
think.
tune, yeah.
Yes. The first time I ever heard of "Coming Home" was through their MTV Unplugged special, and it was like, oh my gosh, I wonder what this sounds like electric.
Yeah.
So I started listening to the electric version, and I went, wow, okay, this isn't bad.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, this is their second record. It was recorded in Los Angeles very soon after their promotion of the self-titled. And they had a little bit, I don't know if they had a little bit more money by the time the second record came out. Probably. Ace was probably starting the downward trajectory, if I can say it
One thing
right.
you're right at this point, though, is the band was hungry. The egos weren't there quite yet. Some of the destructive patterns that might have led up to things later, they still weren't to the forefront. They were just digging. They a record a year pretty much, I think, at that point. And it was just a band that was really hungry. And they were like, okay, you don't like our first record? Here's another record.
Yeah.
And here's a third record. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they were still hungry at that point.
Yeah. And
For all the merchandise and before everything else.
yeah. But yeah, this is from 1974 and it is incredible. So, yeah. Yeah. The stuff that I've heard off of this record is incredible. So, yeah. The next record and the next and final record for this episode is going to be their follow-up to Hotter Than Hell, "Dressed to Kill." This album was released in 1975, and a little trivia for you people. Do you know where their outfits came from for this album? Bill Aucoin's closet.
Their
If you
manager.
can believe that,
Here's
yes.
Bill Coin.
That was their very first manager. They were so, I guess they were so distraught by how much, money-wise, that they didn't have the proper. I
Bill
guess.
Coin came along and was very much the fifth member of Kiss
Yes.
behind the scenes.
Yes,
and
he
Sean
was-
Delaney too. Because,
He was like their George Martin.
yeah, they financed the band, like you said. He provided them clothes for their album cover, and probably kind of helped things go with the record company too, because Kiss weren't the overnight success; they were a slow burn. And it was probably thanks to Bill Coyne's interactions with the record company, put up a lot of his own money, and
Yes.
he truly was a fifth member of Kiss.
Yes, and some of the tunes that define this record for me are Room Service, Rock and Roll All Night, Come On and Love Me, again, bow, chick, bow, bow, Rock Bottom,
Rock bottom.
Love Her All I Can. I've heard that in concert a bunch of times. But yeah, this is a really great album. If you're in your local record store, say Everybody's or whatever, and you want to, there's a plug, and you want to check this album out, I highly recommend it.
Yeah,
Any
me too.
one of these 3 records, I highly recommend you check this out. And there's also a book called, and I hope, well, in addition to this one, it was authored by Paul Stanley. It is called Face the Music of Life Exposed. And boy, does he have some exposure. I haven't read it all yet, but he has a lot of exposure.
Has anybody else in the band written a book?
Yes, Gene has written several, and Ace has one, and it's called No Regrets. I beg to differ, to tell you the truth.
Ace's book is kind of foggy. You can read Ace's book and you're kind of like, yeah, was he actually there? Or those his memories?
And then Peter Criss has a book called Makeup to Breakup. Are you freaking kidding me? Really? The first, I mean, not to sound nutty or anything, but I was, where am I going with this? I was listening to some of the people on Three Sides of the Coin, and
What is that?
Which is a Kiss podcast,
Thank you.
and they were saying how they, like, Ace could not remember where they kicked off the reunion tour. You know, where they kicked off the reunion tour at.
I know that one. Tony, do you want to take it?
I believe I know it. Detroit Rock City, Tiger Stadium.
Correct.
But
Is that right, Andy?
Actually,
Oh!
actually, it was this. Yeah, actually, it was.
I'm gonna go.
It was actually Phoenix, Arizona.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I thought they kicked it off at Tiger Stadium.
Well. Anyway, he couldn't even get he couldn't even get the right city. It's like, dude.
Guess what? Neither could I.
Really?
I can tell he listens to Three Sides of the Coin because they're very much a Paul and Gene's centric show. But anyway, that might be a good topic later.
Yeah.
The split. But talking about these first 3 records, do you think they would have made it without the makeup? Do you think Kiss would have been? We'd be talking about Kiss today if they didn't wear makeup on these 3 records.
Actually, that's hard to say because the makeup was influenced by Alice Cooper and David Bowie and people like that. New York Dolls, right. So it's kind of a 50-50, if you know what I mean. So,
but it's interesting to mention that these 3 records probably kind of got looked over by a lot of rock and roll fans
yeah.
until the live album Alive came out.
Yeah.
And then Kiss, as genius as they have been known to be on times, re-released these records as a series called The Originals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And like I said, when I first heard Rock and Roll All Night, the studio version of it, it just blew me away. And then when I heard it, on the Alive album, the first Alive album, it blew me away again.
Can I ask you a question about that
Yeah,
song? Do you
yeah.
get tired of it now? Like, when you hear it, do you keep it on or do you turn it off?
Are you nuts? I never get tired of it. I love it.
Me neither.
I mean,
Hold that book up again, Tony.
for goodness sake, Paul and Gene wrote it in a hotel room, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I applaud them, and I know I got into them after. I know I came into this world, when they released Crazy Nights, but nevertheless,
Yeah.
it's like, so what?
This is the mysterious off-camera voice of show director Senior Reek recommending that book, Nothing to Lose, The Making of Kiss. Anybody watching this podcast now is probably familiar with this music and possibly has already read that book. If you haven't, It's a great, great book about Kiss's early years.
I've been in the way that I became a fan of these guys. If it's okay to inject that, I
Sure.
hope that's all right.
Let's wrap it up soon, then.
Was I was watching an episode on Garth Brooks. It was his Inside Fame on CMT, and they were talking about James Taylor and Dan Fogelberg and all these other people, and then George Strait and George Jones. Those are the two that kind of escaped my mind there for a minute, but they were talking about the Georges and Dan Fogelberg and all these other people. And then they mentioned this band Kiss. Well, I had no idea who they were. No idea. I was born in 1987. I had no idea who they were. No clue. So I went out and bought the Very Best Of album, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And I started listening to it and realized, oh my God.
That's pretty interesting that Garth Brooks was your introduction to Kiss.
Yes.
He covered one of their songs on a tribute album.
Yeah, Hard Luck Woman.
Yes. Yes.
Great
And-
song.
Yes.
Quickly, before we wrap this episode up, what happened after these first 3 studio albums, and what happened with the band?
Well, they released an album called Alive, and that record just went through the roof. That was just like they're as big as Frampton Comes Alive for Peter Frampton, or Live Bootleg for Aerosmith, or
It was
whatever.
unheard of at that time for a kind of a struggling band to release a double-length live record that went in their career.
Yeah.
And where the sales of their first 3 studio records that we just discussed were initially disappointing, that live record exploded and brought them into mainstream popularity, where they have been ever since.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we should plan on doing a future episode about that live record and all of their live albums. Tell me about another future episode that we're going to be doing within the next couple months.
Another feature episode. Wow. Does it matter if it's Kiss related?
You know the one I'm asking about.
How about, I'm kind of seeing some inspiration behind us, though.
Yes.
Good topic.
Yes. The 40th anniversary of these 4 albums here, which were released 40 years ago in 1978, which is incredible.
The Kiss solo records.
I personally just got into Ace's solo album. I know I'm a little bit late, but whatever. And I deeply apologize for that.
You don't have to apologize.
But-
It's okay.
But
So Halloween of this year will be the 40th anniversary
that is insane.
of the release of those solo
And
albums.
these records caused a lot of debate amongst Kiss fans. Everybody's got their favorite.
To this day, a lot of
To this
controversy.
day.
It was a big chapter in the band's development, and for a lot of
Yes.
good reasons and a lot of bad.
And did these records save the band, or did these records was the final nail in the splinter of the coffin? So I think that would be a good topic to
Yes.
celebrate the 40th anniversary.
Yes.
And to share our views on our favorite records and what we
Yes.
think of them.
Yes, and
If you'll have me back.
yeah, absolutely. Are
All
you
right.
kidding me?
All right.
But
Tony, before we go, tell us what's the name of your website?
My website is themusicroom.me. Musicroom.me.
And you're on Facebook and Instagram?
Yep. Facegram.
Facegram. I'm not on there. How is that?
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find all the links on the site.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. Wrap it up, Andrew.
and then as for me, I have my own personal YouTube channel, and you can find me at YouTube/Andy Schwertman.
Hit subscribe.
And-
you don't want to miss this stuff.
Right, and I'm also on Facebook. So basically, I don't want to sound old here, but hit me up there too. So, but yeah. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.
That was pretty nice.
Thanks,
From the
man.
beginning, too, man. So which of these are your favorite albums?
Oh, man.
Oh, well.
Well, one of them is Dress to Kill.
Yeah, this was my life.
That rule. Yeah. That kind of looks like the day that they shot this.
Yeah.
Can you